Hey everyone, I'm Kristen, the Cross Stitching Runner, and welcome to my channel where I talk mostly about cross stitch, a little bit about life stuff that might be going on and might be relevant, and I guess any tidbits that might happen along the way. So today is Monday, the 27th of December, and I want to say a big hello and welcome to all new and returning viewers, and hello and welcome to new subscribers that have come along the way. And if by chance you've stumbled across this channel, hello, welcome. If you like what you see and you want to see more of what I'm doing and all the like, make sure you click on that subscribe button and click the like button as well if you really do enjoy what you see. So I'm actually feeling a little tongue-tied, but also a little out of balance with this recording because I've become so used to recording on the weekends that to record on a Monday, I'll be feeling a little out of balance, and I know I'll be a little bit inconsistent in this one because I have tried to make sure that most of my episodes come out on a Sunday, and I've learnt one of the things over the last couple of weeks where I don't know if this happens for other people who are doing these sorts of recordings and that kind of thing, where with the setup that I've got, my some of my files and such back up on the cloud, and it slows things down in terms of any uploads that happen for YouTube. And I felt like an absolute numpty and novice going, I should have just turned off the syncing thing for the laptop so that way the uploads would happen so much quicker on YouTube and I'd actually be able to be so much more consistent. So I don't know if that's like if that's something that has been an issue for other people, or if you're considering um, starting up your own YouTube channel to do Flosstube and that kind of thing. Um, I don't know if that's going to have any impact on you or not, but that is just one of those really weird side note things that I've learned over the last few months, or especially just now in the last couple of weeks, of the little things that I've learned along the way with doing this channel. And so this particular episode is going to be a little bit longer than normal, partly because of any side notes that I'll get distracted with that will be relevant to this channel. But also this is going to be a mini WIP parade. So it'll be me sharing with you some of the projects that I've either started this year or have been ongoing projects that I've worked on throughout the 12 months. Also, before I really jump into our episode today, I also want to note that I'm filming from obviously a different location. You might notice the background is a bit different, and um, the the way this house is, you might hear lots of noises or footsteps and such going around. So there is another couple of levels above my head, and so you might hear potentially my boyfriend walking around a little bit. And uh, the quirk of this house is that try as we might to be soft-footed and walking gently or lightly on the floors, if there's someone else walking above and they're trying to walk gently or quietly or softly, the footsteps might still sound heavy. So I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a heads up just in case it's a bit disturbing, or you might need to change something with headphones or volumes of how you're listening to this episode. So we'll get started. So with these projects, they're not in any particular order, and I'll try and include some pictures along the way as well of comparison shots of what the picture looked like or the project looked like. Maybe last time you saw it, if it's an ongoing project, and also try and include or show you where I can the cover pages as well of what the project will look like when it's done. So the first one that I wanted to share with you doesn't look like much. So this is I've started in I think the top left corner of a heaven and earth design. It's called Scaredy Cat, and I'll just bring up the picture for you that I've got on my phone. A challenge that I had with this particular project. So the artwork is by Jeff Hain or Haney, depending on pronunciations. And one of the things that really drew my eye to that project is purple, the different shades of it. And I really, really love the colour purple. And what I found challenging initially with this project was I'm stitching this on, I think it's 25 or 28 count fabric that I've had in my stash for a really long time. So I'm not quite sure exactly on the exact type of fabric it is or anything like that. So I'm not sure if it's a linen or if it's an even weave. So initially I'd started out stitching this 2 threads over one fabric square, and then I shifted it over to so I'll just bring this in a bit closer, you might be able to notice a bit more, where it had been then one over one, doing full cross, and I don't know why, I must have had a brain freeze and I looked potentially too closely at the recommendations for the project in terms of how it should be stitched and such, where I saw 2 over 1 and thought, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And I have done full coverage projects before that I'm working on right now that I'll share with you as well. And it just, the 2 over 1 just really was not working for me, where it was just feeling too thick for that type of project. And so that's where I'm just doing away to myself going, why this particular project? And so the other thing with that project that I'm struggling with at the moment is the colours that are coming up for the pattern and how it's being stitched. I'm not enjoying it as much, so I'm really keen to go diagonal a little bit and actually get to where the cats are. So I'll just bring the cover page up again just to show. So I'm just really looking forward to starting the where the cats are. Sorry for the glare. So where the cats are, and just, yeah, getting into that really cool focal piece, and yeah, hopefully find enjoyment through it as time goes on. So that might just be an October piece that that I'll work on, or maybe when I'm watching the TV show Supernatural. Love that show, but that's a totally different thing. So I love those sorts of shows in terms of supernatural and that kind of thing. So that project might come out as part of Spooky October or whatever the whatever the other things that we want to call it. So next project that I want to share with you, this one I had started as part of the Black Needle Society's stitching box for, what is it, Autumn and Stars Hollow. And so one of the challenges for that particular stitching weekend was, or stitching retreat, was to stitch a picture or project that has an elephant in it. And so I started Tiny Modernist's elephant Biscornu. Just bring this in a bit. So I actually purchased that pattern from my local needlework store back in Canberra, which is the Crafty Frog. So I don't go to the store often enough. So my brain holiday mode. I've been on holidays for about a week nearly, and I've got 2 weeks. I'm not going to count. So anyway, so this is a project, yeah, that I'd started, yeah, as part of the stitching prompt for Autumn in Stars Hollow, and so I think this might be. Oh, I really can't remember what the fabric count is for this. I don't know if it's a 32 or 28 count linen, but it's a hand-dyed fabric that I also bought from the Crafty Frog. And I've actually done quite a lot of work on this during a lot of meetings that were happening, branch meetings for work. So with some of the branch meetings at work, they wouldn't require me to participate much. It was just me to be there to be informed. So I'd be like, okay, let's stitch away, because a lot of these meetings would end up going for about an hour, maybe 45 minutes or so. So I'd be able to get a little bit of stitching in, and yeah, so I'm thinking I really want to get more work done on this one, because I think I've grown more confident with Biscornus, and this one is just so cute. And there's actually a fair amount of fabric here, which will actually feed in to some plans that I've got for this fabric. I'm actually kicking myself a little bit now that I've made a start on this fabric on it for a project, because I've got another idea of what I probably could have used the fabric for. That said, there's always more fabric, that I can purchase, which is going to be okay. So, with that in mind, the next project, since I'm talking a little bit about Stars Hollow, Stitching Retreat, and that kind of thing, I've actually made a start on this pattern. I think I might have talked about this a little bit in my previous episode of cross stitching confessionals. That might be it. So, pardon me, dry throat. So this is my progress. So this is being stitched on hand-dyed 28 count cashel linen. The fabric is by Fibre on a Whim, and it's a fat 1/8 piece. And I'm potentially stitching this pattern around the wrong way. I have the impression that the pattern should be stitched this way, but I've decided to go this way. So we'll wait and see how things go. So I'm using majority of the called for colours, and it's only in certain circumstances where I've chosen to use some other colours instead, and yeah, it's coming along quite well. So the next project, I've actually put a bucket load, pardon me, bucket load of progress in, probably just within the last week maximum. So this has had a lot to do with me getting some of the colours that I've needed for the project. So I'm finding the cover page so I can share it with you. Okay, so I've called this particular project the pink bottle brush. I think the proper name for this flower is a grevillea, and it's only just in recent times that I've actually properly remembered the name of this flower. And this was actually a photo that I took of one of the grevillea plants that is here down at Miller Bay in the garden that's here, and I really liked how the photo turned out. So my apologies for threads being everywhere. I partly use the parking method, so I'll get a bit of something behind it just so you can see things a bit better. So let's see, that's better. So at the moment, it looks a bit like a just big splat on the fabric. But I guess as I move it back a little bit, you'll be able to see how things are. And I'm stitching this on 14 count Aida that I've had in my stash for a while, and I'm using all DMC thread. There's a lot of confetti in this, but I'm using Pattern Keeper, and if you haven't heard me rave about Pattern Keeper yet, I absolutely love the app. I'm not a representative or anything for the app. I just use it a lot and think that it's one of the biggest game changers in the world of cross stitch. And so yeah, I'm just loving how this project is coming along. And what I've done recently, over the last week or so, is I've done a lot of colour completion. So I've gone through the list of the colours that are in the pattern, just to see if there are small numbers connected to certain colours. So I might need to use, for example, 608 as one of the colours in this project, and so there might only be 5 stitches I need to do with that colour to no longer need to use the colour in the pattern. So that's where I've meant about colour completing. So that's, I think, made a bit of a difference with that project, and I've fallen back in love with that project because I have off and on, I think maybe over the last couple of years, since I started, been umming and ahhing because it is so confetti heavy initially, and I didn't have all the colours that I needed at the time. So that's where it did take a bit of time to get going, and now, hey, you won't be able to stop me. So with that in mind, some of the next few projects I'll be talking about, I'm actually keeping in the same project bag because they all share very similar colours. So this next one that I'm working on, this one is a Heaven and Earth design, and it's one of the bookshelf patterns. And this one, I'm going to just fold up a little bit more. So one of the colours for this pattern that I've been missing for ages and have only within the last week maximum been able to pick it up was a DMC thread, I think 961. And that has made the world of difference for me to be able to fill in a bit more of the pink for the project. So hopefully you can see it a bit. So it's meant that I've been able to fill in quite a lot of pink along the side there, and I've then just been able to branch out from there. And I'm also loving this fabric. I think it's 25, or sorry, I bumped the table. I think it's 25 or 28 count easy grid or easy guide fabric, and I wish I had known about this fabric sooner, because this gridded fabric for me is like Pattern Keeper as well, where it is to me a huge game changer for being able to easily gauge, once I got used to where the lines were and how the counting works, that I can see why a lot of people, if they're into full coverage projects, want to then just do extreme cross country. So to put that into perspective, I'm a cross country stitcher. So what that means is you'll see I've got quite a lot of colours that are spread out a bit, and that is cross-country stitching. So with the extreme cross-country stitching, I might have, say, like a long arm's length of a particular colour on my needle, and I may give myself the challenge of going, okay, well, I can't move on to the next project, or I can't put this project down until I've finished stitching that particular colour thread on the needle. And if the pattern allows, for pattern keeper or whatever way you want to use, I would then highlight where that particular colour is appearing throughout the pattern, and then stitch according to that. So it can look quite speckled and quite messy to some extent, depending on your preferences of or definitions of messy stitching versus neat stitching. It does mean that as part of a little bit because of confetti and such that happens with full coverage patterns, it does mean there's a bit of carrying of the stitches. So this is the back of the project, and it can look messy, and for some people that is a big no. They prefer to have the backs of their projects looking super neat and near identical to the front of their projects, and nothing wrong with that. It's their preference. My preference is I don't care what the back of my project looks like. To help put it into perspective, so this is the back of the pink bottle brush project, and I'll just fold this over a little bit more. And I carry my stitches a lot, and also because there's so much confetti in this particular project, it does look super messy, but I don't care. I think with one of the Flosstubers I was watching recently, they put it into really good perspective, where if you're going to be entering any of your projects into, say, the state fair, the county fair, or some kind of competition where you're going to be judged on how neat your stitching is on the front and the back, then that's where I absolutely agree that you would need to be a bit more careful about how the back of your project looks. For me, I probably won't be entering too many of my projects into any stitching competitions that would require the backs to be visible. So I'd most likely be framing them or turning them into quilts or pillows, or any other really cool creative way of finishing. So with that in mind, the next project, and I didn't bring it down. That's really annoying. I do have it with me. So I have, in the last few days, been fixated on this project. So this particular project is called, I think it's a dictionary of dogs. And so with this project, it's actually a kit by Bothy Threads, and I'm going to see if I can find the cover page for this, because it really bugs me that I haven't found, that I didn't bring it with me. So please pause for a moment, hold on. Hey, I'm back again, thank you. So I've got the cover page for A Dictionary of Dogs. So this one is the cover page by Bothy Threads, and I picked the kit up from, I think, when I did some shopping online from the Fox collection magazine, or I think I might have picked it up from a quilt and craft fair that traditionally has come to Canberra, I think roughly in August or so, every year. And the last few years, yeah, things haven't quite been normal, so we haven't been able to attend that. But I've had that in my stash for a good 10 years at least. So I think the copyright on a dictionary of dogs dates back to 2009. So that's why I'm saying it's sort of roughly 10 years. So I definitely remember starting stitching on this when my boyfriend and I had first gotten together, and he loves dogs. And he does enjoy this project as well. He likes the cartoon aspect of it, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm hoping to get a bit more of that done next year. Hopefully, hopefully finish next year, but we'll wait and see. So the next project I have to show you, I started in February this year, and it's a combination of two pictures, or a picture and a quote. So the words won't show up very well at the moment, but that's the fishes. And the Pisces symbol, if you follow astrology. So I was born in February, and I fall under the star sign of Pisces. And the um, the picture of the fishes and the Pisces symbol I got from I think it's called pixel art or pixel capture, or something very similar to that. And I did do Google searches, like reverse image searches and such, just to see if I'd be breaching any copyright issues or anything like that. I wanted to see if this was already charted as a cross stitch project, and with the searches that I have done so far, it's not come up. So that's where this Pixel Store thing site that I came across, I was able to download the picture and use some software to convert it into a cross stitch project. And the quote that is really hard to see at the moment, it says, Pisces, not everyone gets the same version of me. One person will tell you I'm a beautiful soul. Another will tell you I'm a cold-hearted arsehole. Believe both. I act accordingly. So it is a bit of a sassy kind of quote. It won't be everyone's cup of tea, but I guess with the certain moods that I get in at times, it really resonated with me. I don't know who exactly said that quote, or who exactly came up with a quote or anything like that. I have tried to do some searches to see if I could attribute that particular quote to a specific person or a specific book or a storyline, whatever it is, and I haven't been able to find it. If by chance you do know who that might be, let me know, because I'd really love to make sure that I give the right credit where it's due to the right people. So this is what I've gotten up to so far. So I did actually run out of this teal colour that you see on the fabric, so that's part of why I paused it. And I'm also getting quite close to the edge of the fabrics, but over here where you see my fingers twitching a little. So this should actually be enough fabric on that side to enable some of the fishes to be there. So this is where I'm just umming and ahhing about if there's a way that I can adjust how I stitch the project, because the teal colour that you see there is actually part of the Pisces symbol for the picture. So I'll just see if I can bring this up again to help with comparisons. So I'm not sure if it's going to work very well. So the quote is in the middle, and I'll see if I can do some editing to help with all of this, but I'm at the edge here of the thing. I'll just get this screen active again. So I'm sort of at the edge here, I think, for the quote. So I just love the colours of the fish. So I'm going to have to do a bit of a fiddle. Alternatively, I'm going to need to maybe do some searches on the internet to see how I can really nicely attach some fabric, of the same fabric, because I've got a fair bit of that, to the edge. So there will be a seam, and that's a part of where I'm feeling uncomfortable about it and awkward about it, because of, I guess, how it could detract from the project, because it's not a full coverage project by any means. So I'm just going to have to wait and see how things go and see how the stitches lay. And it could be a case where maybe I'll just focus on the quote and maybe redo the project on some different fabric and stitch it 1/1. Because I'm currently stitching this 2/2 using DMC thread, so I'll have to wait and see as to how things go for that one. So the next project that I'm working on, I love this one, and I'm loving it even more. Sorry, itchy nose, because of how much is coming along. So this one I'm about to show you is the Dewdrop Daisy, and we'll just bring up the cover page. Okay, so this is the project that has probably heavily featured in a lot of my Flosstube episodes, and this was also the first and only pattern that I've sold so far. But I'm just loving how this one's coming along, and so this one I've been working quite heavily on over the last couple of weeks. And so this is how it's coming along, and it is just looking absolutely beautiful. So I'll just bring this in a little bit more. So I'm stitching this all in DMC thread, 2/2. I think this might be on 28 count even weave or linen. I can't quite remember. So I'm just going to fold this up just a little bit more. Okay, my apologies for the threads. It's just part of how I stitch. Okay, so this is how it's coming along. So I've really been focusing on the center of the flower, and I'm just loving the colors that are coming up with it, and the purples and such, and it's just looking so cool. And a part of what I'm really excited about for this project, that I'll talk about a little bit later, is I've got some new stitching tools that I've received as part of a Christmas gift. And this project I know will feature quite heavily next year as well, just because I like to see it finished, and it's such a cool project. I'm really just loving the colours. I'm loving quite so much about it. Okay, so the next one that I think it really needs a lot of love, and I've been neglecting it a bit, is one called I think it's called the Blue Mountains Walking Trail. That's it. So let's see. Okay, so this is the project. It does suggest 40 count even weave if you're going to do 1/1, but this is mostly just to try and still get the detail in the picture. So that's that picture, and this is what I've gotten done so far. So I've started up in the top right corner this time, which is really quite strange for me because I'm usually traditionally top left if it's going to be full coverage. So I'm stitching this on the 25 count, easy count fabric that I picked up from the Crafty Frog, and I'm loving this fabric. I do have to remind myself that the squares are 20 by 20 rather than the grey squares that are 10 by 10. So I do have to remind myself that when I do come up to the lines, that it will be like a 20 count border, if that makes sense. So I really want to give this project a bit more love and attention as time goes on next year. And this might actually fit into some of the plans that I've got for next year as well, that I'll talk about soon. So the next project I want to share with you, it has been neglected a bit, and I do want to focus on it a bit more in the new calendar year. And I'm just finding the cover page on here as well to give you a bit of context for what it will look like. So this is just a mock-up of what the project will look like, and it's called Rolled Up Black and White Daisy, and it's based on a photo that I took. It was either earlier this year, if not last year, at some stage, and converted it into a pattern. So I've been stitching this on, I think this might be 18 count Ada. So this is what I've stitched so far, and from a distance it looks pretty good. And what I've been slowly doing with this project is slowly converting the background from full cross to half cross. I feel like I'm about to sneeze, so I'll mute my microphone if I can, if I do sneeze, because I sneeze very loudly and it hurts the eardrums when I sneeze. So to put things into context, I'm just going to bring this up just a little bit closer. So I've got a heavy needle minder. Okay, so you might notice near where the edge of the petal is that I'm doing some half stitches in the background, and what I'm aiming to do is full crosses just for the flower, just to really help show that you could even get away with just stitching the flower and not necessarily the background. So that's a bit of a learning curve for me as well from a design perspective, and also me just playing around as a stitcher as well, regardless of who the designer is. I'd probably do something like that and try and get away with not having to stitch as much of the background. And I'm also thinking that I've probably got too much of a fabric border around the edge of this, but wait and see how things go. I'm sure it'll be okay. But that could also mean just being a bit too casual about things. Okay, so this one is probably one of the, it's the last one I have to share with you for my WIP parade. So this one is an oldie and a goodie. It's one that I've been working on for years, for a long time now, it feels like. So this one is the Gundrum mini mushroom. Before I unfold it all, I'll bring up the cover page for it. Actually, I might have it here. Let's see. Yes, I do. Okay, so this is the mini mushroom, and it's one that I have talked about a bit over the year, though it's not, since I've been doing Flosstube. It's not been quite a year yet. So that's that. And okay, so this is the picture so far, and I'm stitching it on 14 count Ada. I think I'd like to call it a mushroom lagana, but it isn't. It is a 14 count kind of Ada. I don't quite remember what the colour is, because I actually bought it at one of the craft fairs that had come to Canberra a few years ago, and it was like a roll of um, fabric like you might get from in Australia here, might be like, say, Spotlight or Lincraft, or you might be able to get a roll of it that might be pre-cut to a certain size from your local needlework store or something as well. But I've been working on this for ages, and it's all DMC thread. So this is I think the bottom left corner of the project. So the great thing with this project is that it's a mixture of solid colour and a bit of confetti. This is the first of my patterns that I've been stitching, and it was before I'd figured out how I could get my patterns into Pattern Keeper. Since then, majority 99% of my projects do go into Pattern Keeper in terms of the hot cross stitching patterns, and they work out really well. So that's that, and I do hope to get more of that done. So that's pretty much it for the WIP parade. I do have a little bit of haul to share with you, and a little bit of I guess stitchy kindness, so to speak. So we'll do the haul first. Okay, so when I went to pick up the DMC thread that I needed for the stitching bookshelf thing from Heaven and Earth Designs, actually it's a bit like the online stitching supplies that we buy, where a pattern or a thread cannot travel alone. So that's why I bought this fabric, and it is 28 count cashel linen. So I'm reading the thing on the back of the thing here. It says Znygart, but it might be a misspelling where it might be Zweigart, and they might have needed to write instead. Anyway, it's a 28 count white linen, and it's 1 meter by 70 centimeters. So I'm going to be able to stitch either a giant project on this or get quite a lot of smaller projects out of it. So that was pretty much my aim, where I just also, the store that I bought this from, it's the Rosemont Patchwork shop. So at Mogo, Mogo is about a 20-minute drive south of, actually, no, it's probably 10 to 20-minute drive south of Batemans Bay. And so it's probably a similar distance, maybe slightly shorter, maybe 15-minute drive, sort of southwest of where I'm staying for my holidays at the moment. And I love that store. It is such a cool and slightly quirky store, where it's also got a sewing machine museum as part of it. And the really cool thing with this, the collection of sewing machines, is it goes right back to the really early days of the sewing machines, where you might have needed to use your foot, or I think in some circumstances your knee or something, to actually get the machine to work, right through to some of the more modern sewing machines that we know today. And yeah, it just really is a really cool thing to check out as part of memory lane, and some of the things that people have done in the past to actually still be creative and do what they want to do. So it does still have quite a lot of patchwork stuff, materials there, and they do have a really good selection, a good range, well-stocked range of DMC threads, and some not not quite specialty threads, but definitely the main brands that we use for our embroidery, cross stitch, that kind of thing. So when I last went to the Crafty Frog, I did pick up some fabric and some patterns. So I picked up some more of this 25 count Lugana easy count fabric, 30 by 60 centimeters. So yeah, as I said before, I just love this fabric, and it's just an absolute joy to stitch on. So I also bought some 25 count Lugana of this purple colour. It's called Dusty Mauve, and it's 25 by 90 centimetres, 25 centimetres by 90 centimetres, which could actually work out quite well for one of the patterns I bought. So I actually bought the Autumn Lane Stitchery Love on a Limb, and so it could actually work quite well for me to stitch on here. And I had thought that I could, so I'm just going back through my stash here. So it could also work on this fabric. Sorry for the glare. So it could work either way. So I don't know. I do prefer the mottled pink, but the mauve could work just as well. So I also saw this kit, and I just thought of my mum with this. I'm sorry for the glare. So this is a Snuggle Pot and Cuddle Pie kit. Yeah, I think this is a fairly old kit too. And so anyway, I was just looking to see if I could see like a copyright date thing on it. What makes this particular kit so special? It's an Australian counted cross stitch kit, and there's this artist called May Gibbs who, a long time ago, she created this little storybook series based on the Gumnut babies. And in Australia, we've got a lot of eucalyptus trees that have drop gum nuts and can be uncomfortable to walk on if you've got barefoot, or uneven, unsteady to walk on. And she's got the gumnut babies and such connected with some of the Australian fauna as well, flora. And the Snuggle Pot and Cuddle Pie get up to different adventures and such. I don't remember reading many of the stories at all, but it's just something that resonates quite a lot with Australiana and Australian stuff. And I know that my mum would really enjoy stitching that pattern. And itchy nose. Hay fever has also been driving me absolutely batty. So I just thought of my mum with that. And with a few weeks ago when I was down here at the coast, we'd popped into Bateman's Bay. My partner wanted to go and look at some fishing stores or something that were along a particular street, and so I thought, okay, well, while he's doing that, I'll pop into one of the thrift stores called Vinnie's, and just to see if they do have any cross stitch stuff. I was just sort of curious about what sort of things they'd have in there, and I managed to pick up some Ada cloth that had been donated there. The price tag on here says that it was for sale for about $8, $9. Oh, sorry, itchy nose. But I actually managed to purchase this for about $2, which still just blows me away. I don't know, the Vinnie's price initially said $5. So either way, I was just blown away, where I felt like saying, hey, no, I should be giving you more money for this. This is just worth so much more. So I'm not quite sure. It's 14 count, 36 centimeters by 45 centimeters. And I figure hey, at the moment I've just been in the mode for collecting fabric and just building up my stash a lot more, because who knows what life has got in store for us. So as part of all of that, Stitchy Kindness and I guess Santa was very, very kind to me. So to put into perspective, okay, I'm not sure how well this will appear. I'll just step back a bit. Okay, so this slightly odd looking contraption is a type of stand that I can use for doing stitching tutorials or stitch with me's and that kind of thing. And what this does is, with this part down here, I just loosen up, twist it around, and I can then, so if I keep twisting that around and get a bit of space, I can attach this to a table or some kind of flat surface that has an edge to it, and I can then tighten it up. It won't appear very well at the moment. And as part of all that, I'm just going to see if I can adjust the camera a little bit so you can see what's going on. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, so what you might see a little bit here is this is attached to the edge of the desk, and I'm just going to shift the screen back a little bit. So as part of this stand being connected to the edge of the desk, I can now use this bendy arm to shift it around to wherever I need. And this is on like a little ball, so to speak, and I can adjust it to wherever I need it to be. And I can also loosen things a little bit, and I can attach my phone and have it sitting in this particular holder. So that sort of expands out a little bit, and it will firmly hold my phone, which I think is pretty cool. And I got really excited about that because what I have been doing in the past is I had bought an attachment similar to this to attach to some of my camera gear that I've got. So I have a DSLR, like a digital, like a proper digital camera where I can adjust settings to take some specific photos or style of photos that I want, using different tripods and whatnot. And it has been really, really fiddly and cumbersome to try and get set up, and it has almost been almost not worth it at times, it's felt. So to help, I'll just grab the tripod. Okay, so this is the attachment that I was talking about, and it screws on to a part of my tripod here. And this tripod is awesome, and it does a fantastic job for what I need to do for my photography. But I'd be regularly moving these legs around and making adjustments and that kind of thing, so it would enable me to film some of the tutorials that I've got on the back burner right now, and a few other things that I'm wanting to do. But it would mean that I'd have to almost fiddle around and look very awkward, and this would take up a lot of space on my desk as a result, and not leave me with much space to do what I want to do. So that's why I got really excited about that particular stand that I received as a Christmas gift. The other Christmas gift that I received was a tablet. So I'm so thankful that I have this, because it means that I'm actually going to be able to do a lot more of the stitching that I want to do, especially connected with this channel and the type of promoting and such that I want to do for hot cross stitching as well. I can do more stitch alongs and that kind of thing. So that's where I was really excited about that. And for ages, and it hasn't been used for a while either. Sorry for any potential rustling noises. So this is a funky looking beanbag, but it's the kind of beanbag where you can be sitting down on a chair or a couch, and there's a leather part here that your Kindle, your tablet thingy, or your laptop, whatever, can sit in. So I'm just going to see if I can get this set up just to help show how it can look. Okay, so, sorry. My apologies. I've been standing up for a bit long and my back gives me grief as a result. So the idea here is the beanbag will rest, and this is really dark, there we are. So you might not be able to see it very well. You might just be able to see a little bit of the shiny surface of the tablet, but it sort of sits in like so, and you would have this sitting on your lap, and you'd be able to stitch away and do whatever you need to do. And what I love is that it's a bigger screen compared with what I was using for my phone. Pardon me. And it means that I have a lot more flexibility for where I sit. It means that I could be doing some of the stitch with me's and that kind of thing, like the tutorials and that kind of thing, by filming via my phone. I can then have my tablet sitting off screen that has the pattern on it, and I can still have a special arm with the phone and the filming, and it is just going to be so much cleaner and easier to film and do stitching and that kind of thing. So that's where it leads in a little bit to the plans that I have, and into the new calendar year. A lot of the plans that I have are to do with hopefully doing a lot more promoting promotions with hot cross stitching. And I just need to pause for a moment, and I'll come back very soon. Hang on. Thank you for your patience with that one. The timing of the pause actually worked out pretty well. We have helicopters and planes, that like small light planes that fly past probably once a day, roughly this time of day. So it's about 10:15 at the moment in the morning, and around summertime especially, we've got planes that fly over as part of doing whatever checks they need to do, whether it be checks for maybe sharks in the water, that kind of thing, or there might be checks to do with power lines and fires and such, because we're probably about 500 metres away from some cliff tops and such where the ocean is, and then in the opposite direction, probably a similar distance, we're quite close to where some bushland is and such. And so yeah, that's where we had some helicopters and such flying over just before. So I was talking a little bit about plans and that kind of thing. So if you've made it this far, thank you. You're brilliant. You're awesome. Thank you so much for bearing with me with the WIPs and the plans and haul and that kind of thing. So I will leave it at that because I'm at the stage of getting a little bit rambly and jumping all over the shop a bit more than normal with my thoughts. So I do have some plans for the new year, and you'll hopefully start to see some of those plans come into fruition as time goes on. And as those plans start to come about, let me know whether or not you like what you're starting to see as we go into the new calendar year. And hopefully it'll all be good. And I'll hopefully see you all really soon. And if the um, new calendar year has come around by then, Happy New Year, and hopefully 2022 will be an improvement on the year that we've just had and last year. So I'll catch you later.